Welcome, everyone. We're diving deep into Solve for Happy by Gawdat.
Oh yeah, this one is pretty thought-provoking.
It is. I mean, here's a guy, top of his game in tech, wealth, even a couple of Rolls Royces.
The dream, really.
You'd think, but he was deeply unhappy.
And that's what's so fascinating about his story. It makes you wonder, what's the missing piece? If success isn't the answer, then what is?
Right. What is equal happiness?
Well, Gawdat approaches it in a really interesting way, kind of blends ancient wisdom with this modern analytical lens.
I like that.
Yeah, and he starts with this simple yet kind of profound idea, the happiness equation.
Okay, break that down for me.
So he says happiness equals events minus expectations.
So it's not just what happens to us, but how we, interpret it. Our expectations shape our experience.
Exactly. Imagine two people stuck in traffic.
Oh, I can see where this is going.
One person is fuming, blood pressure through the roof. The other, well, they're chilling, maybe listening to a podcast, enjoying the forced downtime.
Same event, totally different reactions.
All because of their expectations.
So then the big question is, how do we manage those expectations so they don't, sabotage our happiness?
Ah, that's the million-dollar question. And Gawdat does have some practical advice. One key insight is that our natural state as humans is actually happiness.
Wait, really?
Think about babies. They're pure joy when their basic needs are met. No complicated expectations or anxieties yet.
Okay, that makes sense. So we're born happy, but then life kind of throws us a curveball.
Yeah, you could say that life experiences, societal pressures, they all kind of overwrite that default setting.
So how do we reconnect with that innate joy, bridge that expectation gap?
Well, Gawdat offers a bunch of techniques. One that really sticks out is this idea of observing the drama.
Observing the drama.
He encourages us to see our thoughts and emotions like actors on a stage instead of getting caught up in their storyline.
Almost like watching a movie instead of being in the movie.
Yes. By becoming the observer, we get more control over how we react. Instead of spiraling with negative thoughts, we can acknowledge them, analyze them, and choose a better response.
Okay, I like that. Just shifting perspective. But what about success? I mean, Gawdat was incredibly successful before finding this true happiness. Where does that fit in?
He tackles that head on, directly challenges the idea that success equals happiness.
Really?
He even points to research showing that, sure, well-being increases with income up to a point, but after that, more money doesn't equal more happiness.
It's like they say, money can't buy happiness.
Exactly. So if material success isn't the answer, what is? Gawdat argues it's about aligning our expectations with reality and realizing we can't control everything. In fact, he outlines 6 grand illusions that kind of mess with our judgment and block us from genuine joy.
6 grand illusion. Okay, now I'm really intrigued.
Well, the first one is the illusion of thought. This is where we believe our thoughts are like a perfect reflection of reality.
But they're not.
Often, they're biased, distorted by our past experiences and current mood.
So we're mistaking the map for the territory.
Exactly. We get so caught up in those mental models that we miss what's actually happening, and that causes a lot of unnecessary suffering because we're reacting to thoughts as if they were, like, facts instead of just mental events.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this works. What's the next illusion?
This one is the illusion of self. It's the idea that we have this fixed, unchanging identity.
We all get caught in those boxes sometimes, right? Thinking this is who I am, this is all I am.
Yeah, and by clinging to that rigid sense of self, we actually limit our potential for growth and happiness, miss out on new experiences because we're trying to fit into that predefined mold.
It's like we're afraid to evolve.
Right. So overcoming this illusion means being willing to let go of who we think we are and embracing the unknown.
The unknown. Okay, I can see how that can be a little scary, but also exciting. What's the third illusion?
The illusion of knowledge. We tend to overestimate how much we know and underestimate how much we don't know.
Oh, that's a good one.
Right. It leads to arrogance and being closed-minded. We stop learning and growing.
It's like Socrates said, the only true wisdom is in knowing you know nothing.
Exactly. So Gawdat encourages us to cultivate intellectual humility, to admit we don't have all the answers, and be open to learning and discovery throughout our lives.
Makes sense. What's next on the list?
The illusion of control. The belief that we have more power over external events than we actually do.
Oh, I think we all struggle with that one.
Right. We want to control everything, but life is full of surprises, good and bad.
And trying to micromanage everything just exhausts us, and we miss out on the beauty of spontaneity, the chance to adapt and grow from challenges.
Exactly. Accepting that we can't control everything, paradoxically, brings more peace and freedom.
So focus on what we can influence: our thoughts, our reactions, our actions.
That's it. Now, the fifth illusion is the illusion of fear.
Oh, fear. That can be a big one.
It is. We let fear dictate our choices, limit our potential. We create these safe models in our minds, avoid anything that might trigger discomfort.
But in doing so, we miss out on opportunities for growth, joy, connection.
You got it. Overcoming this illusion means facing our fears, recognizing that often the things we're most afraid of are the very things that could lead to our greatest growth and happiness.
Stepping outside our comfort zones.
And by doing that, we discover strengths and resilience we never knew we had.
Powerful stuff. What's the final illusion?
This one is the illusion of time. The tendency to dwell on the past, worry about the future, and completely miss the power of the present moment.
Oh, I think we're all guilty of that at times.
We get so caught up in mental time travel that we forget to savor the present moment, the only moment we actually have.
And yet the present moment is where life is actually happening. It's where joy and connection are experienced. So how do we reconnect with the now?
Gawdat really emphasizes mindfulness, practicing techniques to focus our attention on the present moment without judgment.
Training our minds to be fully present, to actually appreciate those simple joys of everyday life.
Exactly. And by doing that, we can tap into a much deeper sense of peace, gratitude, and yes, joy.
Wow, those 6 grand illusions really offer a lot to think about. It's like God is urging us to question everything we thought we knew about how the world works.
He is. And this is just the beginning. He goes on to explore even more fascinating concepts, including his own journey of dealing with grief and finding peace after the tragic loss of his son, Ali.
That's a story I'm definitely eager to learn more about. It sounds like even in the face of unimaginable tragedy, he still found a way to hold on to these principles and experience inner peace.
He did. It's a real testament to the power of mindset, resilience, and the belief that happiness is always possible, even when life throws its toughest challenges at us.
It really is amazing how he found that peace, even after such a heartbreaking loss. It's a powerful testament to, the human spirit and our capacity to choose happiness.
It truly is. And speaking of journeys, Gawdat takes us on a fascinating one when he starts exploring this concept of design.
Oh yeah, you mentioned design earlier. Honestly, I'm curious to see how that fits in with all this happiness talk. Seems like a bit of a left turn.
It might seem that way at first, but Gawdat's point is that understanding this design of the universe, the underlying principles that govern everything, can actually be a source of deep joy and peace.
Okay, I'm listening. How does he approach this design thing? Does he, take sides? Intelligent design versus pure chance?
He's actually careful not to be dogmatic about it. Instead, he presents both sides, random chance and intelligent design, and really encourages readers to look at the evidence and decide for themselves.
So it's about critical thinking, thinking about where we come from and our place in the grand scheme of things.
Exactly. And one of the things he points out is that the sheer improbability of our existence, of this complex universe arising just from random chance, is pretty mind-blowing.
Okay, I can see how that would make someone consider intelligent design. What kind of evidence does he use to support that?
He gets into probability calculations, uses analogies to show how unlikely it is for a complex system, like a living organism, to just pop up out of random events. He compares it to a monkey randomly typing out Shakespeare's complete works.
Wow, that's a pretty vivid image. Makes the point that maybe there's more to it than just lucky accidents. But then, doesn't that raise the question, if there is a designer, why is there so much suffering?
The age-old question, right. And Gawdat doesn't shy away from it. He acknowledges all the pain and suffering, even tragedies like the loss of his own son.
So how does he reconcile a benevolent designer with all that?
He suggests that maybe the designer isn't micromanaging everything, every little detail. Instead, the universe operates on a set of fundamental laws, like a perfectly designed machine running on its own.
Not a puppet master, but more like a set of principles that govern everything.
Precisely. And he stresses that acceptance is crucial in this framework. Accepting that things happen as they're meant to happen, even if it doesn't fit our desires, can bring more peace.
That's tough, especially when things are really hard. It's so easy to question why, to feel angry or resentful at this design.
Oh, absolutely. But Gawdat's point is that resisting this design, fighting against the natural order of things, just creates more suffering, like trying to swim upstream.
So acceptance isn't about giving up, but more about acknowledging what is and choosing how we respond.
Exactly. It's about finding that peace within the design, even amidst the challenges. And what's interesting is he suggests this acceptance can actually lead to profound joy.
Wait, acceptance leads to joy. How does that work?
When we let go of trying to control everything, when we surrender to the flow of life, we open ourselves up to a deeper sense of awe and wonder. We can appreciate the beauty and the complexity, even the imperfections.
Shifting from fear and resistance to curiosity and appreciation, finding joy in the unknown, in the interconnectedness of it all.
And within that framework of acceptance and wonder, Gawdat emphasizes the importance of love. He sees it as a fundamental force that goes beyond our individual egos and connects us to something much bigger.
Unconditional love, right, the kind that doesn't depend on anything external.
Exactly. He makes a distinction between conditional love, which is often fleeting and based on what we get from others, and unconditional love, which is pure giving without expecting anything in return.
That sounds like a radical kind of love, embracing everything, flaws and all.
It is radical, and it's incredibly powerful. It frees us from those ego constraints and opens us to a much deeper wellspring of joy and connection.
It's like recognizing that beneath the surface, beneath all the masks, we all share that spark of something greater.
Precisely. And with this understanding of design and the power of unconditional love, Gawdat encourages us to find our own unique path to joy. He doesn't offer a one-size-fits-all solution, but he does provide some really insightful techniques to help us along the way.
He talks about the happy list and that bring me a better thought practice. Any other tools he suggests for navigating those inevitable challenges and cultivating happiness?
He's a big advocate for mindfulness, really being present in each moment. And he encourages us to cultivate gratitude, to find beauty in the everyday, to embrace those simple things that bring us joy.
It's a good reminder that happiness isn't about reaching some distant goal or getting some fancy thing. It's about finding that contentment in the present moment, in the everyday miracles we often take for granted.
And he reminds us that life is a journey, not a destination. True happiness isn't about the prize at the end, but the richness of the experience itself. The ups, the downs, the challenges, the triumphs.
Savoring the journey, embracing the unknown, finding meaning in the design, even when it's hard to understand. I'm starting to see how grasping this concept of design can be comforting and inspiring.
It definitely can be. And to take this exploration even further, Gawdat dives into the topic of death.
Death. That's a bit heavy, isn't it, for a happiness conversation?
It might seem that way, but Gawdat doesn't approach death with fear or dread. He sees it as a natural part of life, a transition.
Not sugarcoating it, but encouraging a different perspective.
Exactly. He even suggests that by thinking about our own mortality, we can gain a deeper appreciation for life and let go of those trivial worries.
A powerful shift. Instead of fearing death, we embrace it as a reminder to make the most of every moment.
He shares his experiences with grief, especially the loss of Ali, and how he found comfort in the belief that death isn't an end, but a transformation.
Navigating that must have been incredibly difficult. Finding peace and meaning in the face of such a loss, that's inspiring.
It really is. He also explores various spiritual and philosophical views on death, bringing in insights from different cultures and beliefs to show how universal this experience is.
So he's not saying he has the answer, but encouraging us to explore the possibilities and find what resonates with us.
Exactly. He acknowledges the mystery, the unknown, but encourages us to approach death with curiosity, not fear, to see it as part of that grand design.
Embracing the full spectrum of human experience, from the highs and lows of life to the mystery of what lies beyond.
And he reminds us that our time is precious, that each moment is a gift. And by embracing the fullness of life, we can face death with peace and even gratitude.
It's a powerful message, both comforting and inspiring, reminding us to cherish our time, live intentionally, find joy in the journey, knowing that death isn't an end, but a transformation to something else.
And maybe, as Mo suggests, a chance to finally see the face of the designer.
Seeing the face of the designer, that's a powerful image, Speaks to that human need to understand where we come from, our place in it all.
It does, and it's so touching how Mo connects his personal story, especially the things he learned from Ali, to this whole exploration of happiness and design.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier that Ali seemed to have a deep understanding of this stuff, even as a kid. Can you tell me more about that?
Mo talks about how Ali, even with his health challenges, had this amazing ability to find joy in the simplest things, like a natural sense of peace and contentment that most of us spend our lives searching for.
Sounds like he was a wise little guy.
He was. And in his last days, Ali said he wanted to see the face of the designer, the one who made it all. It really captures the heart of Mo's message, embracing the wonder, searching for understanding, finding joy in the mystery.
It reminds us that even in the face of hardship and loss, there's still space for awe, for that connection to something bigger than ourselves.
Absolutely. And that brings us back to that question we asked earlier. If you could step outside the game of life, what advice would you give yourself about finding true joy?
What a question. It makes you think about what's really important, how you want to live.
Maybe it's about letting go of control, being present, loving unconditionally.
Finding beauty in the simple things, connecting to something that goes beyond just me.
The journey to true happiness is different for everyone.
No easy answers.
Right. But Gawdat gives us a powerful way to understand happiness, the things that get in the way, and the tools to bring more joy into our lives.
He reminds us that it all starts within, not circumstances, not stuff, not achievements. It's about understanding our minds, managing those expectations, and choosing to focus on what truly matters.
He encourages us to question everything, to challenge those stories we tell ourselves, to open up to a bigger view of ourselves and the world.
And that love is the most powerful force out there.
Yeah, by cultivating unconditional love for ourselves, for others, for the very design of it all, we tap into a limitless source of joy and peace.
So, as we wrap up our deep dive into Solve for Happy, I hope you keep exploring these ideas, try out the things Mo suggests, and find what works for you on your own path to happiness.
Remember, you have the power to shape your experience, to choose joy even when things get tough. And by understanding the design, embracing the mystery, and nurturing love, you can unlock a level of happiness you never thought possible.